Childhood trauma, part 8. Now, I always had this sense back when I was younger, after a certain age or a certain point, that my mom did not like me. I felt it in my motherfucking bones. Now, she may not necessarily hate me, but I had a feeling like she didn't fucking like me. I always did. I always felt like she did not like me. And if I mentioned anything, and I would skirt around actually asking that question. And I once actually accused her of loving the last two kids more. And she kind of like stuttered and like staggered in her speech and just like, oh, that's ridiculous, you know? And I was just like, okay, I feel like that kind of confirms it for me. Now, I'll explain why I feel like that maybe later. I don't know. But the reason why I felt like she didn't like me was because whenever I had to do school events, I felt like she complained so much. Like, if I did anything like after school, because I only really got to do after school stuff in my younger years. In like elementary school. I don't think I did anything after school in middle school. I don't think I stayed after in middle school. And if I did, there was a bus to bring me home. So that wasn't anything. But I remember going to like something for choir because I loved to sing as a kid. And it was an after school like show, and she complained the entire time. And I wanted to distract her from her complaining. And we had just learned about exponents. And I said, I know how much 1 million is. And then I did the whole 10 times 10 to the like 10th power or whatever. And she was just like, 1 million? You will never be able to fathom how much 1 million is. Because nobody can possibly imagine how much 1 million is. And the way that she had like acted. Now, mind you, she was pregnant at the time. So, yeah. But this was the first time I'd ever experienced her, pregnant or not, being an absolute bitch to me. So I was in fucking shock. Well, besides the times that she laughed at my fucking pain when I was like being punished by the abuser, but she didn't know what was going on at that time. Though she shouldn't have laughed anyway. And like, but directly to me, directly to my face, saying something directly to me. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, okay, back it on up. Never mind. Forget I said anything. And so I shut up. And I worked really hard to like just make her feel better. Like, that's why I catered so much to her, because it's just like when she went off like that, because she did that more than once after that. And that's why I felt like when the abuser got moved out of the home, it was my fault, and I felt like she didn't fucking like me. Because she was angry all the damn time and always yelled at us. And when we would make a mess, she would be like, why the fuck did I have kids? And I was just like, not to be your fucking slaves. And she said that throughout my entire lifetime, all the way up until I was a teenager. Well, all the way up until maybe I was even out of her house. But I was just like, you don't have kids to be slaves. You have kids because you love them, because you mean to love them. And I never felt loved. not genuinely. And there was only actually one instance where I felt loved. And that was actually from my, like, someone that I had considered my twin before our move out of state. And she was the only connection that I had actually maintained for as long as I did. And she was the only person whose house I was ever able to go to. And her mother protected me as if as if I was her own child. Because there was a really racist lady in a store one time where we were like looking at perfumes and stuff. And she came over and started going off. And the way that her mom fucking stepped in, she didn't, give any impression that I was not her daughter. And I will never forget that, because that is the first time I ever felt protected by anybody. And it makes me almost want to cry. And I lost contact with that fucking friend after we moved, because we both had too much life stuff to go through. And we both had like different levels of our own like internal emotional issues as well. And it's really hard to keep up with a freaking long distance relationship that's halfway across the fucking continent. But the way that she went off on that lady, like, replays in my head every now and then as a happy moment. But there was another instance where, like, my mom was picking out shoes for church. And, that shouldn't have been a big deal, right? And I was like, here, why don't you wear the white ones? They match better than anything else you have. And she's like, you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day. And I was a kid, and I was just like, oh, that's dumb. I'm never going to follow that rule. And she's like, well, that's why you'll never actually be in high fashion. Well, that killed my dreams of being a model, besides all the naked stuff, because back then I didn't want to do no naked stuff. Ooh, am I allowed to say that word on TikTok? I don't know. And I was just like, and it's like the entire time I've like been my mother's daughter, it's always been like snide little comments like that. They got a little bit more covert over time, because as the other ones got older, and mind you, I referred to them as the kids to her. The kids. And up until, like, there were points where I was an authority figure over them, because, I am the oldest and I'm supposed to fucking take care of them. Fuck me. Fuck how I feel, and fuck the fact that, one of them was damn near my age anyway. 3 years isn't that much of a motherfucking difference. But it was so fucking frustrating, because I did refer to them as the kids. And then when she actually decided to be a mom, she tried to take that power back. And I was like, no, it's too late. You already had me playing like mommy number 2. Because that's actually, I think, what I was nicknamed. But I was mommy number 2 for them. And only one sibling one time admitted to the fact that basically I raised them. And that was my first sister, because she's the only one who would be old enough to remember it, if the others even remember it at all or even care. Because she's the one who knew how things were before. She got to do whatever she wanted, and I actually resented her for it when I got older, because it's just like, I was being fucking controlled at every aspect, and she could just go and hang out with her friends whenever she wanted. I had to clean up first. And then I had my friends pranking me after I fell asleep, because I spent the entire day cleaning the whole house so that I could hang out with them for one fucking night. And then they were putting whipped cream in my hand when I fell asleep on the couch. Which, not a great signal for friends, but that was all I had. And I didn't know any better besides, like, to set boundaries or tell them not to do it. I just explained my fucking situation. They still thought the shit was fucking funny. But I went on to be friends with them until the end of high school. So yeah, that's that part.